Oh, wait a minute. Ten toes in my ass when I'm thinking about business. Stepping. Underground methods. Top holes get most, not less. Straight terror product pushing culture. This song is copyrighted. But reaction streamers make a lot of money off of this guy.
Cool. Reloading. Oh, for fuck's sake.
In northeast, on my position.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Heavy, southeast, on my position. Requesting orbital strike.
This fucking game. Oh, it's so bad. It's so bad. Oh, it's so bad. Thank you, fuck. It killed me.
With that being said, nerfs have never been justified in this videojuego. Not even close.
I really don't want to shoot this primary weapon at these enemies. The second I get that thought, I know that I'm not putting this gun anywhere above the B tier.
Developers doing something that fans don't like and then responding to the complaints by saying that they are listening only to do it again anyway. Well, it's starting to feel like a gaming version of Groundhog's Day, only without quirky one-liners from Bill Murray.
Arrowhead Studios had a virtually unmissable victory here on their hands, and instead, we're here.
The instant breaker nerf. It lost 2 magazines, which didn't make it a bad weapon.
And what I've learned when doing the math for every other gun in the game against multiple some of these guns, and a lot of them doing enough damage to a few others in the
Fuck. Fuck. Shit. I love Helldivers too. No, I do. Seriously. There's a lot to love about this game. I mean, God, where do I start? In terms of the whole concept, Helldivers 2 being centered around being a soldier for a totally not tyrannical and democratic government aiming for galactic acquisition is pretty rad. If it isn't obvious from the get-go, you play as the bad guys, but at the same time, these bad guys' portrayal are so tongue-in-cheek that I quickly found myself screaming for Super Earth at the top of my lungs a lot more times than I care to admit. You can tell a lot of effort was put into the world building for Helldivers as well, considering the TV on your ship displaying a lot of unique propaganda truth advertisements, as I call it, giving further depth to this Super Earth and its culture that we're fighting so hard to protect. I'm personally fond of the Brash Tactics series.
Brash Tactics! Use them or die trying.
This General Brash guy. He seems like a smart man. The fuck are you looking at?
The loading tip saying stims are not addictive, don't worry. And of course, this study was funded by the people that make the stims in classic capitalist fashion. The chat saying player return to civilian life whenever they leave or crash from the game. The reviews for the armor in the Superstore just add a lot of flavor into the game that I think goes underappreciated a lot of the time.
Recommended by 9 out of 10 dentists. Big beef eater. Knitting is cool. I agree, actually. Review under investigation for treason. Redacted. 1 star.
All these reviews have been devised by Super Earth's Ministry of Truth after an analysis to reflect the most accurate possible opinions of loyal Super Earth citizenry. In other words, these are not real reviews. The tiny text, the tiny like text that they have at like those medicine commercials, Ozempic. The armor designs are so well done. They have just the right amount of tactical feel and look, but are drippy enough to make the bots and bugs realize that we win in the battle of fashion in this galactic war. I remember first seeing the first armor set you wear and immediately going, someone's definitely going to cosplay this. It's just such a recognizable and badass look. The overall vibe and aesthetic of Helldivers is just knocked out of the fucking park. I love looking around the ship and just appreciating that whoever designed the interior and exterior of the ship is a complete, absolute, and utter turbo nerd. You can just tell. There's a lot of skill that's necessary to camouflage that fourth wall, if you will, when it comes to knowing that all of this is just code and 3D modeling made by a dev. It's hard to sell that way of immersion for a player a lot of the times. But when I walk around this ship and look around the interior, the floor, walls, ceiling, out the windows, I forget that this is just a created facade in space and just think, God, my ship is so fucking badass. Also, I think a lot of people gloss over the concept that we are playing a real-time D&D game and the Arrowhead employee Joel is the DM. Joel creating real-time situations of the bugs and bots attacking specific planets, taking control of individual enemies, sometimes in our games, and giving players free stratagems to work with is a stupidly amazing idea. It makes us realize we're not fighting just AI enemies that are fodder, but rather two separate armies that have their decision-making strategies and choices. And we, Helldivers, on the other side of this war, have to adapt to it. This, in turn as well, creates a side effect I like to call real-time lore building. As the players, we choose what happens in the story of Helldivers, not the devs. They have a part in it, but for whichever planet we choose to liberate, defend, die on, is written in the history books. Malevelon Creek is a huge example of this. It was impossible to not see a social media post about what was dubbed Terminator Vietnam and the many Helldivers that perished on the foggy, desolate, wet, fauna-filled jungle planet of Malevelon Creek. It was such an influential event that we got a cape added into the game memorializing the event. And maybe I'm just overreacting, but this still amazes me to this day. With this sort of developer and community player interaction that you just don't really see much else. Or how about during one major order, the Helldivers had the choice of liberating one of two planets. One would give us anti-tank mine stratagem, the other save children from collapsed hospitals and schools on the planet, but as a result, we would not have the mines stratagem. The community chose to save the children, and in turn, we actually had a real-life impact via real-life money donated to the Save the Children Foundation charity, and also some cute in-universe children's drawings as well. This game was such a media sensation when it was released that you couldn't escape people talking about it. Memes, reviews, commentary videos, fucking in-universe fan-made propaganda fan cams of Eagle 1. This song was also copyrighted, but whatever. I absolutely would, by the way. To see a community united behind the success of a pretty small studio was an amazing thing to witness and be a part of. The gaming industry isn't really the greatest when you look towards the upper echelon of it, especially the quadruple A area. So seeing a smaller studio like Arrowhead literally suffer from success on launch week with not having enough servers to hold the player base that just flocked and flooded to this game was genuinely inspiring. And I think it really proved the concept of if your product's made with love and intention, it'll get love right back. On the topic of love, I'll say it again. I love Helldivers 2. That's why I gave it a negative review. That's why I don't really play it anymore. And that's why I'm making this video. Because I love Helldivers 2, but I can't support its current state. This game no longer gives the satisfaction of being a badass Helldiver. The balance is unsatisfactory. The amount of weapons that feel underpowered and borderline useless at times is frustrating. I find myself using my support weapon as my primary as my secondary, and my secondary, or pistol, as utility more often than not.
A cannon turret. Where?
In terms of balance changes, especially with nerfs, they're strange. Arrowhead justifying the railgun and arc thrower nerfs because, quote, they were slapping bile titans across the map, to quote Alexis Kravchenko, the bringer of balance for Arrowhead.
Might be slapping Wilbur's across the map. It's gonna get nerfed.
But in reality, this issue wasn't because of the weapon balance itself, but because of a bug with console players having a huge damage bonus that affected the whole squad, which was unintended, and in turn led to a nerf that didn't really make sense once you got the full story. It also added to the discussion of Arrowhead's inability to understand their own game and how it works, even though they themselves made the game. The bugs are, well, more than numerous if we're being generous in description. The amount of times I was ragdolled onto the map or objects, clipped through rocks without ragdolling somehow, and just walking through it or falling into it, having 500 kilogram bombs and hell bombs doing absolutely jack shit, robots shooting through literal rocks in solid cover, crashes during loading screens, crashes during gameplay, ship upgrades that, mind you, take literal hours to farm samples for, to purchase in the first place, don't work, then are fixed in a later patch, but only to not work in the next update, but after that update for a new patch to fix it, but only under some circumstances and not all that should be applying, and then it's aggravating. Watching a community that adored this game turn into a mob that is just frustrated, angry, and overall done with Helldivers 2 makes me sad and just tired. But the anger is completely warranted and expected with the decisions and behavior from the developers. Arrowhead talks to the community, and hype is generated for a 60-day balance roadmap patch. We will have a blog post talking about what we're working on. YouTube videos on news regarding Helldivers always seems to involve the CEO and the old CEO talking about things they're working on, or how they talk about how they feel about the current state of the game. Fans ask, hey, what about this idea or this balance change, etc. For most of the responses from Arrowhead being, we're discussing or talking about something like this. Fans ask, when is Helldivers 2 going to be available for purchase again in the 177 countries that Sony fucked over? For the reply of, look, people are dumb, okay? And die-hard communities are called die-hard communities for a reason. However, there is a limit to how many times you can talk or discuss change, or say you're talking and discussing about talking and discussing change, just for you to not do anything before people decide to give up on you. And that's what makes me even more sad about the state of this game, is that despite the current civil war within the community and the unrest against the developers, the community is still so insanely creative in regards to the real-time lore building that I mentioned before. There's now the Helldivers. It's a split community that was created as a form of protest towards the state of the game by playing as a dissident splinter group of Helldivers that are just fed up with everything and only wish for Super Earth to burn. You're telling me that with this current state of the game, you still have a community that wants to show its outrage, but go out of their way in effort to make it lore friendly and creative that's within the Helldivers 2 universe? Holy shit, dude. People aren't angry with the game just to be angry. They're angry because they love the game and they care. That's what truly tugs at my heartstrings around this whole situation. That Helldivers 2 has such a passionate community, yet they are given what is seemingly nothing in return. Arrowhead, I highly doubt any of you are watching this, but if by the weird off chance I am lucky enough to be speaking to one currently, I just want to say this. You have created something truly fucking special. Seriously, even now, I have never seen a game create this much of a media storm of support and simultaneously a media storm of backlash. I'll say it again, I have never seen this before. I am not going to tell you how to change things. Plenty, and I mean plenty, of your fan base has been very, very vocal in this regard. I don't have to tell you, as it's already been done for me. The ball is now in your court. It is your responsibility to turn the ship around for the better. And that's all I can really hope for. And trust me when I say, I will be watching the whole entire way. I love this game. And many, many others do too. But if things don't change for the better, sooner or later, then I won't have anyone else left to love this game with. And I don't want to be stranded on this planet alone.
Hey, wait a minute, this video's outdated. Did you not see the page where they're actually gonna buff the railgun in the breaker? Okay, yes, I know, I'm sorry. This video was made a few days before they actually announced for the breaker buff and the railgun buff. And honestly, I'm really excited for both of those because it shows they're changing a direction that honestly I really wanted the game to go in the first place. And I also know that they have a test server going, so they'll actually be testing the patches that they'll be coming out with from now on. But at the same time, so what? It's more of this talking and what they have planned, and honestly we've had a buff patch in before, but then they nerfed stuff pretty much right after, which led to the whole fire warbond debacle. I have my hopes up. I do. I really do. But at the same time, I feel like we've been down this route before, and we truly just have to wait and see until the patch on September 17th. But I still think my opinion stands. I still love Helldivers too. And maybe if I was over dramatic for the video, I don't really care. That's the tone I was going for. Oh, and one closing side note, for the people that thought that Space Marine 2 was gonna blow the fuck out Helldivers 2, you're idiots. You really think that like a giant 8-foot Space Marine where you can switch to melee and it's a viable tactic compared to a regular 5'10" like Helldiver is gonna play the same? Are we fucking serious? Oh, and hey, one more thing. I know it's been a while, a long while since I've posted my last video, but life has been weird and all that sort of stuff, and I have lots of different projects that I've been working on. Some that I'm not sure if they're going to be really fitting for this channel, but some that I know for sure definitely are.
keep a lookout for those. And I don't know, comment, subscribe, like, dislike. It really doesn't matter. It's all an algorithm anyway, so.
Countdown initiated. Stand by for takeoff. Going in an eagle. Extraction complete. Pelican 1 beginning ascent.